process. The CV salts is a basin plan amendment process that looks at salt and nitrate impacts on groundwater throughout the Central Valley, throughout Region 5. We meet and confer on a regular basis once a month. It's a priority of the regional board, Region 5, and it's accelerating. So you should see basin plan amendment language later this year. Certainly, Tom, you did a great job. You really kind of captured the policy aspects that are before us here. I'm between you and lunch. Give me 5 minutes on the clock. All right?
Sir.
Thanks very much, Ryan. So I got to get back over here. So when I was thinking about what should I convey to you, Tom gave you a great sense of the policy discussion. There's other aspects of the policy discussion. Tim and others in the room have participated in some of the research discussions that the 14 water quality coalitions of the Central Valley are now engaged in. And so that is important work, because what I'm going to talk about is the regulation that the Central Valley Regional Board has growers, owners, and operators of irrigated agriculture doing. And why are they doing it? Because Tom said it. I mean, you've got a sense, you need to find out when and where the nitrates and nutrients are going into the groundwater. And it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of money. And the coalitions have been in existence for a decade plus, primarily focused on surface water. Now we have groundwater quality included in that, and we probably spent $100 million combined on surface water quality monitoring. And as you can imagine, in the Central Valley, it's very different from the Sacramento Valley to the area down around Bakersfield. So getting a sense of that and Tom did it well, you've got to find that sweet spot between being socially responsible and keeping agriculture moving forward. So I'm going to go through this pretty rapidly because I said 5 minutes, and I think I've got 3 minutes left. Where did it go and when did it get here? That's the seminal question. I think, I mentioned that irrigated lands has new obligations and new regulations, and some of those are reporting requirements. I'm going to sort of skip through a lot of these things. In addition to the work of the California Nitrogen Assessment, there's the UC Davis study that was led by Thomas Harder on Tulare Lake and Salinas Valley. That fostered a lot of discussion at the State Water Resources Control Board, California Department of Food and Agriculture, and continues. And some of that has appeared in the governor's groundwater work plan concept. And there's that. Nitrogen management plan. In your packet, Emma was kind enough to take this glossy. It's two-sided. But each of the owners and operators throughout the Central Valley now have a nitrogen management template. And they're working through 2 parts to this template. It's the planning. What are we going to do this year? What are your expected inputs? And then post-harvest post-harvest, what happened? So that's going on, and it's a documentation. And so everyone, regardless of the quality of the groundwater underlying where their agricultural operations are, is going to be doing this work. Also, and I think it was Tom's slide. Yeah, that chart over there kind of covers it. But, the key thing is management practice effectiveness. And Tim talked about this. What's going on the surface that's protective of groundwater quality. And that's the work that we're going to be undertaking in concert with some of the folks in this room, with California Department of Food and Agriculture. And that's the when and the where and how much is going beyond the root zone and potentially can impact the groundwater quality. That's a pretty expensive undertaking. No surprise to anyone in this room who's done the research. It's going to take decades to get there. And so we earlier this year applied for 6 California Department of Food and Agriculture FRIP grants. We got 2. Well, I guess that's pretty good. But, you know, the total amount of the grants we applied for were over $1 million, and we're going to end up with about $300,000. We're going to have to figure out how to fund this work with lysimeters and other work, and to build on some of the work you've been doing to help answer the questions about where the groundwater, where the nitrates and nutrients are going beyond the root zone, when are they getting there, what are their impacts on groundwater quality, and especially on their potential impacts on drinking water. How'd I do? 5 minutes? All right, no questions? Perfect. I went through that pretty quickly, but you know, this is really, I mean, my takeaway message is keep doing the research. Help us by focusing some of your research efforts on answering this. I saw the alfalfa poster in the back. That's terrific. You know, we've got one of the things that we're working on here that I didn't cover is what's nitrogen removed. You know what is being applied, you know what the plant's taking up, you know the evapotranspiration. What's left over is the unknown that we're trying to figure out how much of it's there, where it's going, and when. And trying to do that as cost effectively across the landscape, as I said, from the Oregon border to Bakersfield. And it's a Herculean task. So, thanks. I'm obligated as a speaker to take a question. So I'll be happy to take a question. But yes?
I didn't get much about nitrogen sequestration per percent of organic matter in the soil and the upping of organic matter and its effect on the whole nitrogen system. There wasn't much talk about that today. Can you elaborate on that?
You know, I can't elaborate on that, but I'm going to work with some of the folks. We're going to be working, the water quality coalitions are going to be working with some of the folks in the room to probably get to that. Okay, let's go have some lunch.